Far-right Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has now sparked fury after he stated that getting the Israeli hostages back home is not the top priority. And he said this during an interview just today. Now that led to outrage, and we'll get to that outrage in just a moment, but let's get to what he specifically said. In this interview, he said, it's not the most important thing, meaning saving the hostages and bringing them back home. Why make it a competition? Why is it so important at the moment? We need to destroy Hamas. That is very important. Smotrich also lashed out at those who are calling for a deal, a ceasefire, if you will, that would bring the hostages home at any price, saying that at any price is a problem. We have to return the hostages and we have to put pressure on Hamas. Now, Smotrich's comments were so extreme that even Benny Gantz took issue with them and released a statement of his own, saying that the return of the hostages is not only our goal in the war, it is our moral imperative as a country and as a people. It is the most urgent thing. We will not miss any opportunity to bring them home. Now, Cenk, you and I have been saying from almost the beginning of Israel's war on Gaza that it doesn't appear as though saving the hostages is a priority, because remember, the hostages are in the Gaza Strip. Everything that the Palestinians are dealing with right now, the hostages are also dealing with. That includes the blockage of any humanitarian aid, that includes the aerial bombardments, that includes the shelling. So we know that some of the hostages, although it's unclear how many, have died as a result of some of the military activity that Israel has carried out in the Gaza Strip. So we kept pointing to that as, hey, if they really care about bringing the hostages home, it doesn't really seem like it given the brutal acts that are being committed in Gaza, which again, the Israeli hostages would have to deal with alongside Palestinian civilians. So what are your thoughts on this, Cenk? Because I'm really curious to see if this is gonna lead to more of an uprising in Israel. There has been more and more protests.
Yeah, so first of all, Israel's not a monolith, as we've said a billion times. And Benny Gantz is both frustrating. He's part of the unity government and also says awful things from time to time. He's the one out there saying there isn't going to be a Palestinian state. But he is more left-wing than the other monstrously right-wing politicians in Israel. And that's why he's speaking out against this. And he's angling himself to one day maybe provide an alternative. To which I say, I'll take it. So if there's any voice that eventually leads to a person who's got a chance at winning Israeli elections, saying we want two states, we need to eventually end the occupation, that's the only thing that's ever going to change anything. We have to put pressure on our government, American government, to put pressure on the Israeli government to go in that direction. But if they stay with this kind of right-wing government, there's no hope at all. Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, to name two of the most prominent cabinet ministers, are monsters. One of them was already convicted in terrorism charges and celebrates Israeli terrorists. I mean, just that's Ben-Gvir. Smotrich here just says the quiet part out loud. Remember what their original explanation was. No, we have to kill 29,000 Palestinians. The great majority of them are innocent civilians and are women and children. We have to kill them because we're trying to rescue the hostages. Well, Smotrich just gave it away. He's like, oh, I don't even care about the hostages. And by the way, the actions of this right-wing government of Israel shows that. They don't care about the hostages at all. They rescued 3 and killed 3. So they're a net 0 so far. Doesn't even look like they're trying to get the hostages. And now it's confirmed. They're like, we don't care. We just want to kill Palestinians. And we want to destroy Gaza. Muslim American I was talking to today said, oh, the Democrats want credit because they're telling Israel to stop after 9 out of 10 people in Gaza are homeless. You want credit because it's not 10 out of 10? And so it's not complicated for anyone who isn't biased or lives in Washington. The right-wing government of Israel is trying to absolutely destroy Gaza. And by the way, after that, there are plans that America now claims they're trying to stop of moving settlers in and just taking Gaza. So that's who this government is.
So I want to get to what the family members who are justified in their outrage are saying in response to Smotrich's statements. As you can imagine, they are absolutely furious with him. Following the publication of his comments, family members of the hostages who were holding a vigil outside the defense ministry in Tel Aviv reacted furiously, moving to block several main roads in protest. They also issued a call to the general public to come and join them in a protest of fury against the government and threatened to set the streets on fire. And look, I want to note one other thing. You know, over the weekend, some of the largest protests occurred in Israel in regard to Netanyahu. They want to oust him. They do not want him to be the leader of Israel. And I think that they're correct in their assessment. They were also protesting the military activity, the IDF's activity in Gaza. Not everyone in Israel, luckily, is in favor of what the Israeli government and the IDF is carrying out. So Cenk, when you say that, Israelis are not a monolith, I think it's really important to emphasize that point because that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. And even though there still is widespread support for the war in Gaza, there is a growing body of people in Israel who are looking at what's happening and they're realizing, yeah, this whole goal of defeating or destroying Hamas seems pretty far-fetched. And in fact, support for Hamas has been growing as a result of what Israel's been carrying out in Gaza. And so that's something to keep in mind. Eli Albag, whose 18-year-old daughter Liri is still being held by Hamas, stated the following: "Mr. Smotrich, let them take your children, and I will stand in the road and shout. It's not the most important thing." And I mean, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, I can't even imagine the pain and the suffering these family members have been dealing with, knowing that their loved ones have been held hostage in a region that has been bombed. I mean, 80% of the residential buildings in Gaza are now either destroyed or damaged. The lack of humanitarian aid, the lack of fresh, clean water to drink. I would be beside myself. So I absolutely sympathize with these people, and I feel terrible that they're being led by a government that very clearly doesn't have their best interest in mind. I know that Netanyahu only thinks of himself and how the continuation of this war is his best hope in staying in power. And that's what's so sick about all of this. Power, that's all it's about. I do think that there are some who believe that the military operations in Gaza are important and that it is working and they support Netanyahu in doing what he's doing. But I'm specifically talking about Netanyahu and what his genuine goals are.
Yeah, so look, if you think 29,000 dead Palestinians is not enough, what do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you pretty little lies about how that's a moral position to have? Sorry, I'm in the truth-telling business. It's not a moral position to have. Okay, look, there's extremists on both sides. So there's the people who say, you're never allowed to criticize Israel. If you do, you're an anti-Semite. Well, it's a government. Governments do bad things and sometimes terrible things. Sorry, you don't get the immunity idol because you called it a Jewish state and then make it immune from criticism for the rest of time. It's not a thing. I don't care that you think it's a thing. I'm not gonna do it, okay? Then you have the other extremists who are like, oh, the Jews run the world and the Jews this and the Jews that. That's not how it works. Well, okay, if all the Jews are around the world, how come there are poor Jews in Israel? How come there's middle-class Jews in Israel, in America, and everywhere else? How come they didn't get the memo? None of it makes any sense. How come Israel's divided? What I thought the Jews were in some sort of conspiracy and cabal. They're not. There's different people with different opinions within Israel, within the Jewish community, obviously. Now, to those people, I would say, but yes, but if you have Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, and Smotrich representing you, these are guys who are genocidal, who are clearly racist. They despise Palestinians. If you claim that Netanyahu and Smotrich and Ben-Gvir don't despise Palestinians, you're on a different planet. I can't even talk to you because you don't understand words, or you don't care about language, words. You MAGA times 10 if you don't think those three guys absolutely despise Palestinians. So if that's your government, what do you want us to tell you? Because you're telling the world, this is who we are. We're deeply racist, We don't care about anybody's lives, including our own. We didn't protect Israel on October 7th. We knew it was coming. We didn't do anything. We're not going to protect the hostages. The only thing we care about is our own power and how many Palestinians can we kill. If those are your representatives, you're not putting your best face forward. And as your friend and ally, I would tell you, please stop. You're driving hatred all across the world. These are not the best people representing you. There's amazing people that could represent you. And I don't even need amazing. I just need non-genocidal. It's not too much to ask for. And look, guys, let's keep it real. We just glanced at it yesterday in the show. But there's a story about how the Israeli government is now selling rights to maritime waters off the Palestinian coast. By international law, that is Palestinian territory. But the Israelis are saying, yeah, but probably people connected to Netanyahu, it's not going to the Israeli people. It's going to go to the people who are in power and their buddies who are going to make money off those contracts. They're just starting to steal Palestinian natural resources for their own profit. So who in the Israeli government is part of that theft? I don't know. And the Israeli people should find out, because apparently they care a lot more about that and things along those lines, the hatred, the money, the corruption, the greed, all of that. And they're putting a terrible face on Israel, terrible. So I would ask the good people of Israel, for God's sake, please, for Israel's sake, let alone those poor Palestinians, get rid of these guys and get someone who cares about your own citizens, let alone the Palestinians.